This is week 4 of Grantham University's BA410, Procurement and Contract Capstone. This week we'll be talking about walking the talk. We'll focus on Chapter 6 and Leadership Step number 3 out of the S3 model. For week 4, we have one major objective. This is Chapter 6, Leadership Step 3, Walk the talk. Basically, in this unit, we'd like to identify various ways to motivate and mentor in the contracting environment. And again, we'll be using Leadership Step 3 in the S3 model, Walk the Talk. In Leadership Step 3, Walk the Talk, we'll first provide an introduction and discuss the aspects of the importance of this particular topic for you and your profession. Secondly, we'll communicate the organization's vision, goals, metrics, and results, and talk about the importance of this in an organization. Thirdly, we'll discuss the idea of listening to your team members and the importance of that idea as you move forward towards success in your organization. Fourth, we'll talk about the idea of listening to your customers and how that can be an invaluable engagement strategy for you to ensure that you meet the needs of your customers. 5, we'll leverage or demonstrate how to leverage your suppliers in your organization. And last, this section discusses the idea and concept of how to hold people accountable within your organization so that you can meet the goals and the successes of the organization as a whole. So let's talk about the idea of how and why this particular topic of walking the talk is important to you. So in this lesson, we discuss the key aspects of focusing on and honoring commitments in the buying and selling environment. Our ability to walk the talk is vital to this success. Specifically, we'll highlight and address 10 key actions that you as a buyer or seller must comprehend and achieve in order to be successful. So there are 2 specific topic ideas that we want to address. Number 1, the topic focus on the key aspects of honoring commitments in the buying and selling environment or domain. And secondly, addressing the 10 distinct actions that will ultimately help you better understand the leadership step of walking the talk as a part of the S3 model. As we address the 10 key actions that buyers and sellers must comprehend and achieve to be successful, 3 of the critical ideas include: number 1, communicate an organization's visions, goals, metrics, and results. 2, listen to your team members. And 3, listen to your customers. So let's take a look at each one of these independently and address those key enablers that will help you to be successful in this arena. So when we think about communication or communicating an organization's visions, goals, metrics, and results for success in today's buying and selling environment, it's important to know and understand that these visions, goals, and objectives of the organization. This in turn is what enables leaders to effectively communicate organizational goals, trends, and processes that seek to move the organization in a positive direction. To achieve organizational success and goal achievement, leaders must demonstrate and communicate practices that promulgate success strategies, ways to communicate this to team members and the organization as a whole are highlighted in your text in Table 6-2. When we consider the idea of listening to your team members, this gives you ample opportunity as a leader to use your team as a force multiplier. In turn, it's important to seek ways to motivate and nourish your team toward success. Understand your team. Know them and what's important to them. Know what motivates them to high performance and toward success. And when we consider listening to your customers, it's important to understand the value to quality of your organization to your customers. Know what is important to them and how they perceive value. What is that value proposition to them? The better we are at understanding our clients and customers, the better abled we are to achieve long-term relationships and success. So consider the use of varying methods and strategies to check the quality and value of our performance. For example, telephone and/or email surveys, customer visits and interviews, customer focus groups, and possibly frontline customer contact. Again, these are 3 of the top 10 actions that buyers and sellers must comprehend and achieve to be successful. As we continue our discussion addressing the top 10 actions that buyers and sellers must comprehend and achieve to be successful, there are 2 additional of these top 10 that we can address now. The 4th one deals with leveraging your suppliers. And number 5, holding people accountable. Let's talk more about each of these. First of all, leveraging your suppliers. Given the increasing nature and utility of outsourcing strategies in the buying and selling domains, it's important that we understand how to leverage supplier relationships to support efficiencies. Table 6-4 in your text highlights 12 overarching best practices that you should consider. When we think about holding people accountable, to be successful, leaders and organizations must better understand the roles and responsibilities of its teams and members. Establishing ways to communicate and periodically review key roles and responsibilities within the organization can be a healthy aspect and a great way to enhance and achieve accountability within the organization itself. So again, when we think about the top 10, 2 more key strategies and actions that we need to accomplish, comprehend, and achieve include leveraging your suppliers and holding people accountable. Continuing our conversation and discussion on 10 key actions that buyers and sellers must comprehend and achieve to be successful, there are 2 more. Number 6, conduct appropriate team meetings. And number 7, display a positive can-do attitude. Let's talk about these independently. First of all, conducting appropriate team meetings. One of the keys to successful leadership is team communication. In order for a leader to walk the talk, it is crucial that they stay aligned to the team. One of the ways to accomplish this is appropriate team meetings. And as your text suggests, there are varying ways to conduct meetings. For example, face-to-face, and possibly teleconferencing. And there are other ways as well. It is also important to have purpose-driven meetings. To that end, I encourage you to review the simple rules on page 121 of your text. Also, number 7, display a positive can-do attitude. As previously mentioned, you want to stay focused on the positive. Again, in today's environment, it's very easy to focus on the negative. Declining budgets, austere environment, downsizing, etc. So as leaders, we should look for the positive in situations and challenges. Again, don't discount the impacts of current day challenges, issues, scenarios, but look for those opportunities to move forward and resolve. So again, when we consider the top 10 actions that leaders should comprehend and achieve in the buying and selling community, conducting appropriate meetings and displaying a positive can-do attitude are vital to the success. As we continue our discussion on 10 key actions that buyers and sellers must comprehend and achieve in order to be successful, this particular chart addresses one additional important note, and that is number 8, provide appropriate supplier evaluation. There are 3 critical ideas associated with this particular topic. 1, talk measures to address issues and concerns. 2, crucial in both buying and selling environment. And 3, effective management of subcontractors and suppliers. So we want to make sure that we provide this as an appropriate supplier evaluation strategy. So when we think about providing appropriate supplier evaluation, as leaders, take proactive and innovative measures to address supplier evaluations and metrics. Recognize those key actions and areas that will support success and build those positive relationships. As we wrap up our discussion on the 10 actions that buyers and sellers must comprehend and achieve in order to be successful, the last 2 relate to number 9, recognize and reward individual and team performance, and 10, facilitate knowledge transfer and management. So again, let's address these individually. So when we consider recognizing and rewarding individual and team performance, first of all, we have to take time for rewards and recognition. And we also want to recognize the importance of individual and team performance. Recognize the importance of the individual and team performance. We want to make sure that we do this whenever it's appropriate and as appropriate within the organization. Regardless of whether in a buying or selling environment, taking time for appreciation is vital. Use the forms 6-8 and 6-9 and the tools associated with these particular forms there in your text to support your efforts in rewarding individual and team performance. And when we consider number 10, facilitate knowledge transfer and management. Given the aging workforce, knowledge transfer is very important. And secondly, we want to make sure that we document and capture the best practices and lessons learned to support our continued efforts. So due to this fact that we have an aging buying and selling workforce, it's critical that we identify key ways to leverage knowledge transfer. This in turn will support organizational efforts for sustainment and strategic planning. The ideas on page 134 of your text highlight some of the more practical ways to support knowledge transfer and management within organizations. Again, this wraps up the top 10 strategies that buyers and sellers must comprehend and achieve in order to achieve success. This concludes our lesson on leadership step number 3, walk the talk. And what we've learned in this particular session is that we've identified the different ways to motivate and mentor in the contracting work environment. And we've also talked a little bit about how we can learn and effectively walk the talk to be successful in the buying and selling environment.